are not like used to think about research in the scientific structured way. So how do we do this kind of research that you're saying in this structured and scientific way? It's something that we can say, oh no, it's scientific proved that something, because people like to use this word, but we don't know exactly how it works. Can you explain a little bit for us?
Yeah, in the end, let's say software engineering is kind of hard. I remember there was once a discussion. So I hear someone say, "Oh, there was this huge discussion that it's really hard to validate and do prove things in software engineering." And the conclusion was that it is hard. So there's not much we can do. But in the end, what we try to do is to get evidence. So it's hard to say that, oh, this maybe in some very specific case, yes, but in some cases, like, okay, using this kind of stuff improve developer productivity. So um, yeah, so what we can do is to get evidence that regarding this, and maybe when we're trying to get this evidence, we can find out some interesting things. But proof is really hard because, okay, maybe I did this. I can do an experiment where I compare people using with people not using, but okay, maybe different people would be different. Maybe I can experiment this in a large project, but usually when I do in a large project, I cannot have a control group like doing the same project without it. So then we always have some kind of trade-off, right? So for example, when we increase the complexity and the size of the case study, usually we can do just a few. When we have more large scale experiments and research, we can have, let's say, more, but then it's usually something more simple to be able to scale. And then it's interesting to see that sometimes it's hard to know, but then we get some evidence here, some evidence there. One of the sources of evidence we usually get is, for example, evaluate with professionals or ask professionals to give their opinion. But in the end, okay, if I ask 20 experienced professionals about something and they say, oh, this is great, but it's still their opinion. So it is evidence, it is valid, but proof, it's really hard. So what I try to do in my research is to try to get evidence from different perspectives, different angles, to try to enrich the vision we can think or study about some kind of technique or practice and whatever.
So the idea, like getting like surveys with a huge number of people, so we can get some more statistically.
Yeah, so then this will be a more, let's say, quantitative study, but we can also interview and be more deep with a lower number of professionals. So this one will be more qualitative, and then we will try to get some insights about that. So then usually we try to mix stuff and to get these evidence from different perspectives. So maybe we can get more simple information from a lot of people and more in-deep information, but a small number of people. And then, okay, try to triangulate the findings.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
One thing for our audience here. Unfortunately, I think it's Andres.
It's Andres, right?
Yeah.
Hi, Andres.
Hey guys. Even in physics, we need evidence to prove that the universe behaves as the math say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Exactly.
And then he
the problem is that in physics you can be more precise, right? It's
You
easier
can
to
see
measure.
it. You can see
Yeah,
it. You
and
just
you can
see it
calculate,
happening, right?
Yeah.
as
You
I
can
said, for
calculate the
example,
math.
when you are, I don't know, for example, if you are doing a study of different AI models that you're running simulations, etc., then it's something more, let's say, exact, so that you can actually
Mhm.
reach. But when you have people in the middle, and as I said, in software engineering, people is it's an important factor, right? You can have the greatest framework in the world if the people that are trying to use don't know how to use them.
Mhm.
It will not
Exactly.
work. So
Yeah.
then, yeah, since we have people in the middle, it's hard to say that like, oh, this team improved the productivity doing this. You
Mhm.
cannot say that in another one or in another type of project for another type of software in another team it will behave the same. So
Interesting.
it's an
Yeah,
evidence.
Andrews added something interesting here. It would more like psychology study or medical study.
Yeah, let's say that's a lot of psychology in the middle. That
Yeah.
and even many of the some of the, not all of them, but some of the research methods we use also come from these ones about the interviews and surveys, come a bit from the human sciences to
Mhm.
understand the people perception. Like as I said, for example, code readability. It's a very subjective thing.
It's very
Mhm.
personal to each one, right? How
Yes,
readable is something. And I even think that culturally it changes from someone in Western compared to someone in other parts of the world.
exactly. So that's why okay, we did a study and we can see who participated, and then in the end you have to say, okay, but these results are for this type of population, right? To
Yeah.
be able to
Mhm.
generalize, we need people from other places. So that's always
And
these
and
factors.
about that,
Yeah.
Eduardo, how do you do these research? You do them locally, you do them online. How are these data collected when you need to grab information from people like the code readability?
It's a bit like for each research, we see what are the resources we have, the opportunities we manage. For in this case of the code readability, we did an online survey. In some cases, we do case studies that are sometimes in presence. In other cases, we do like interviews, which can be also online or in presence. So then we try to, as I said, we search for all the opportunities we can to
Everywhere.
gather evidence.